This video is going to go from generating a profile in CAM all the way to cutting. It's going to move along a little quicker. I have other tutorial videos that break down each section. This is going to cover all of that. So to start with, we open the CAM program. We click the 3D button. At this point, we're given two options. We either can import a 3D step file, STEP file, or we can do conversational. In this example, in this video, I'm going to do conversational. However, from this point forward, all steps would be exactly the same, even if you imported a 3D step file. It would import, you would unroll it, generate your code. All of the steps would be the same, but I'm going to do the conversational. So in this example, we're going to cut some 2-inch tube. So 2 by 2. It's 1/8 inch wall, and it has a radius of 1/4 inch, and I need it to be 36 inches long, which is okay. My tube is created. All right, I'm going to miter the one end. This will be the first end. What we call the first end is coming through the machine. This is the end that it will cut first. So my first end, and I'm going to miter it at 45 degrees. I click apply and OK. There's my miter. I need to put a hole in the middle of it. So I want a 1-inch hole from the left or the right because it's the middle, and I want that hole to not be angled. I need it at 18 inches, which would be the center of my part. I do want it to go all the way through, so I want a hole on both sides. Click apply and OK. You can see now I have my two holes. Now I'm going to make the other end up to a piece of 3-inch tubing, and I'm going to tell the diameter that's mating up to is 3-inch. I can do an angle or rotate or center offset. I'm going to leave it just like that. Apply and OK. And you can see there we have my part. The next step is we need to unroll it. We can see the flattened model. So this would be if we took a slitting saw and cut the actual tube and then unrolled it. This is what it would look like. So if we were creating this out of a flat piece of plate, this is what we would cut with a flat piece of plate and then bend it into a 2 by 2 tube. Alright, next thing we need to do is give it a name. Tell it where we want to put this. If you want to create new ones, you can. I can put this anywhere I'd like, or I can create a whole new one. I'm going to put it in the sample customer and then the sample job. I'm actually going to name this create a new contract, so it's to be a new job inside the customer. Alright, we can change the name here. It'll default to the size of the material, the type of material and the size of it and the length of it. We do need to leave the .tcs. I'm going to name this cross, and we choose OK. Next point is to go into the nesting program. Alright, we choose sample customer, Becker, the material. Well, we only have one because I just created that contract. It's 2 by 2. Alright, I need to tell how many sticks I have. I've got 20 sticks. It's 288 inches long of this material. How many of these do I want? Well, let's say I want 20 of them. I now nest it. I give it a name, and I'm going to call it cross tubes, and I choose save. And you can control where you save that nest. I saved it right inside of this file. This is a nesting report. This really has nothing to do with cutting. This just tells you how many sticks you're going to use, how many are on each stick, what the percentage of usage was, and then how much you have left. You can print this report. You could save this report as a file. But again, the report has absolutely nothing to do with cutting. Once we click this next button, we have our G-code. We're actually ready to cut. Alright, so the next step is to minimize this and open the control program. As is covered in the other videos, the first thing we need to do is take it out of eStop, home all the axes if they're not homed, indicated by these buttons here, or LED indicators here. The red hasn't been homed. Being that I'm not hooked up to a machine right now, I'm simulating it, I'm unable to home it because I don't have switches. So we're going to go with this is homed. The next step would be to load our program. Now I saved it in the Becker. Now, you're going to notice that we have multiple programs here. I created a part. That part was called cross. That is right here. So if I select that, it's one single part, just like I put on the screen. It's that 36-inch long tube. If I select this one, I had told it I wanted 20. Apparently 20 requires 3 sticks. If I select this one, it's going to cut the first stick, and that's all it's going to do. This one would cut the second stick, and that's all it would do. This one would cut the third stick, and that's all it would do. This is for customers that do not have an auto load system. So you would actually be able to load just this program, cut it, manually unload your tube, manually load your next tube, load this program, cut it, and on and on and on until you have all your parts. Auto Nest is all of these programs combined. So the simple way to think about it is this program makes up all of these. Okay? And this program is made up by all of these. So we have one part. We have how many of those parts fit on one stick, how many fit on the second stick, and how many fit on the third stick. And then in this one, we have all of the parts. So it's all of the nesting. So there'll be, if I click this, there'll be 20 pieces cut. It will cut as many as it can out of the first stick. It'll dump the first stick, depending on its length. It depends on where it dumps it, as covered in the other, as covered in the written manuals. It'll load the second stick and automatically run this program. Finish that, it'll load the third stick and automatically run this program, and then it's complete. So I'm going to choose the Auto Nest. Alright, a couple settings I want to check. I don't want to use center support. My soft limits are on. Always leave soft limits on. I do not want to use center support. Alright, I need to tell it, because we have no way of knowing how everyone's going to do it, I need to tell it to load material. Right now my machine does not have material in it. So I need to have material loaded on my auto deck load, my chain load drives. I need to load a piece of stock. When I click this button, a piece of stock will be loaded, provided there is one in the first slot. Once that material is loaded, I would click the multi-stick program start, because remember, I loaded a program that has multiple sticks. Make sure the plasma cutter's on and air is on to the plasma cutter. It's going to probe the material, and it's going to start cutting all the parts. It's going to dump the leftover piece. It's going to back up. It will automatically do the same as you clicking this button. It'll load the second one. It'll come forward. It'll probe. It'll cut all that piece. Drop that off. Drop the waste piece. Back up. Run this again. Load the third one. Cut as much as it needs, and then it'll stop, and that'll be it. Now, by the same token, if I wanted to cut just, so let's say I cut 20 of those and my welder says I actually need 21. Alright, instead of going all the way back, I can just grab the cross and just cut one of them. So I can use the material already loaded, or I can load another stick. In this example, this is not a multi-stick program. This is only, this part is going to fit on one stick. I would click the single stick program start. Alright. You also have the option of picking each one individually here. With an auto load system, you really wouldn't ever do this, but it is handy to have the part that's on here. Now, if our Auto Nest program contains multiple parts, so let's say we had a cross and we had another one called top bar, it would actually have cross and top bar here. So it would display everything that's contained within here, all the parts. If you had 100 parts, there would be 100 different programs in here, one for each one, then the nested, so one for each stick used, then the Auto Nest, which is all of them used together.